Now we're going to paint a Reproduction Warmouth. I've got several videos where I'm working on a Reproduction Warmouth. Well, I'm just now getting around to actually painting it. Make sure the side of the mouth is white. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and paint all the fins. Paint them white. Yeah, this works for skin mounts too, because this is supposed to be replicating the skin mount. I've got a skin mount one that I've done. Definitely has some issues. If you prefer, put it on light enough where you can still see your mark. So you put your Sharpie pen. Okay. Now just like on a bass or a bluegill or anything, until you get around the jaw here. Here's my maxillary. Just like on a bass, I'll get these gills down here. This little bit of bone that separates the gill flap from the cheek. I usually get it kind of white too. Then right up here, there's like a row of, just below the gill, it covers part of the gill rakers. Right down in here. I'll go ahead and get that. Maybe lightly down here. If your fish is a little dark, I may go ahead and throw a little bit of white all over him. Just to give him just lighten him up a little bit overall. Okay, now there's little white dots, and they go all over. Most paint skills will call for dots, but they're really streaks. If you see them, they're really streaks. But see, a lot of times they're not really dots; they're like streaks. Maybe like two of them connected. Try to separate them out kind of evenly. You'll be better off if you do that. Kind of see what I'm doing here. Now I've got my white pearl. I'm just gonna get my belly real good. Maxillary looks good with pearl on it. All this looks good with pearl. Get everything that was white on the belly, the lower belly. Make sure that's good and pearled. This one, pectoral. Oh yeah, this one gets white too, by the way. I forgot to do it, but it's white anyway. Okay, now this color goes even up on the side of the belly. I guess the white spots need to be kind of pearled. You want to make sure those white spots have a good coat of pearl over them. So I guess about a third of the way up. I'll go ahead and throw some on the cheeks too. Little pearl never hurt nobody. So there we are. Okay, got my bright yellow. I'm just going to paint all the fins. I don't know, I guess about a medium to light coat of bright yellow. start at the tip of the nose, top of the head. And then the maxillary, top of the back. Yeah, the white spots, you probably want to keep them about right at the ladder line and not go up really any farther than that. Looking at my reference pictures, although the ladder line itself has a lot of white in it, so it wouldn't be wrong to incorporate white. I may go back to white and whiten up my ladder line because it does show to be kind of white. Sure does. The cheeks get the yellow. Gills. On this individual fish, even the lower jaw and everything gets it. The belly. A lot of times I use yellow ochre on the belly, but I'll fade this. This color will fade out about where the pectoral fin is. Now it calls for a light dusting of the white. Just change the value of the white spots to a vague yellow color. And you're basically done. There we are. That's it. Okay, got my white again. Looks like right up to about the face, or where the gill starts. Right along the ladder line, you know, there's some stuff there. And it's white. I'm going to put it back in. I got a little bit too yellow anyway on my spots. See how it kind of is. You get the idea. And this is accurate. It shows in my reference pictures. Sort of fades out around the tail. About right in there. Okay, I was sort of wanting to fix something else that's not right. Now, I mean, it's right, but... okay. I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. It has to do with okay, this black part in the back on the ear, there's actually a marking that goes out from the top of it, and then the marking that comes from the eye to the top of it, and then there's a marking that comes from the eye to the bottom of it. So it kind of loops around the gill flap. So I just want to incorporate that in, because that is correct to have it that way. So basically I painted over one of my marks that wasn't actually correct. So that's kind of what I done. You got my bright yellow again. And I'm going to just touch up everything that just ever so lightly go over that white. I mean, where you can barely even notice it. Just to kind of, same with all these other spots. Some of them are already good enough. There you are, that's good enough right there. There we are. Well, that looks pretty good right there. Yeah. Now right here, see what I did there. Now I've got orange. I got bright orange. What I want to do is I want to mimic this orange color underneath here, going all the way to the tail. Just on the bottom. See, even above the orange there's a little bit of yellow. So the trick is to be real light with this. But it even gets it on the mouth. Looks like even the maxillary gets it. I mean, real light like. Some of it could be lining from it could be lining where they took the picture or something. But I'm still going to see all that's orange right there, the lower lip and all that. I'm just going to try to incorporate all that in. It could be lighting, that's what I'm getting at. But even right down here, right here, right in between the jaws and the cheeks, it gets it a little bit, mainly at the bottom. Stays at the bottom. This may not be super... It may not be the actual way it's supposed to be, but for this reference picture it is. Back here I'm just going to stay on the bottom. Sure it's on. Make sure I'm getting it. Yeah, it's getting it. Probably could lower the camera a little bit to let you see it. But you see it growing on there. Just on the very bottom. And that's it right there. That is it. Might want to turn your fish to get get him underneath, however you got to do it. That's about the intensity right there. And just kind of getting it underneath, everywhere. Just trying to make it good and uniform looking, you know. I don't think it's wrong to use this color a little bit on the fins, like where they come out of the body. I see it a little bit in this picture. It shows a little bit. You know, just to change the value a little bit. Not do them all that way. Just to change the value of that yellow just a hair bit. Not much. I mean, where you can barely even notice it, you have to give it a, you know, a second look before you even see it. Yeah, I got a mixture here of, well, what it is it's rich brown and dark brown. And it's like, if anything, more rich brown than dark brown, about 60-40 or something like that. But basically what I'm going to do is put all my markings in. Kind of lighten them up a little is what it's doing. All the marks I put on with the Sharpie pen, I'm just going to go back over them. Now right here, basically I'm going over all my marks with this dark brown kind of if anything, it's probably better just to go dark brown. Yeah, I think it might look better just to go straight dark brown. But I've got rich brown here, half and half with black, but I'll see how it looks. A rich brown and dark brown, although dark brown straight without rich brown probably work better. I just wanted to tone down the rich brown a little bit where it's not so dark, but I don't know. I probably should just went dark brown. Yeah, in an earlier video I've got on my YouTube channel, I show where I drew the marks in on a reproduction, and then I went over the marks with a Sharpie pen because I knew I was going to paint over them. That's why I've got it all marked up like it's like almost like it's a skin mount or something. I'm just going to go ahead and darken everything in with my paint, my rich brown, dark brown mixture, and I'll show you what I've got. And this is what I've got so far. You can see how the back markings are kind of accurate. That's how they sort of look. You see how the back markings are kind of a little bit, they stop at the lateral line a little bit and then they break up. You can kind of see that. See how the lateral line's a little bit white? Well, see, I've sort of done the same thing on this. So I'm just following along with what I see. The barring kind of breaks up after you go past the spiny dorsal. They tend to break up a little bit. So that's kind of what I'm incorporating in a little bit. Now I'm going to put my spots on my fins. Okay, put it done better on that. To get the idea. Same with the tail. And they kind of come in a little bit from the rear, and then they just kind of fade out, you know, from the sides. I mean, there we are. About like that. I got a little gold sparkle. I figured it'd be okay idea to go ahead and put this in. I should have already done it. I just do the body. Sides of the jaw. Don't even mess with the fins. The upper 2/3. I've got a little bit of gold sparkle to put on there. Kind of going in between the marks. The upper 2/3 of the body. There you are. Okay, now we got a rich brown again, or chocolate brown. And we spray basically the upper 2/3 of the fish. See, this is kind of giving the orangey look too. You know, from, we just, everywhere we put that gold sparkle. The heavier on top, the lighter as you go down. Fade out 2/3 down. By the time you get to the base of the pectoral fin, or the pectoral fin, be faded out completely. It takes on an orangey look too. This is a rich brown. Definitely heavier on top. There we are. Good enough for me. Not sure if you can even tell it. But I can. About 2/3 of the way down. I can even tone that orange in a little bit with this rich brown on the very bottom of the belly. Looks nice. Sure does. And I got my dark brown, and this is what we're gonna darken the back with. Find a good reference picture and use it. I've got my one. I don't want to go too dark to, here again you fade out about 2/3 down from the top. But here I'm doing the mouth. Angle spraying, letting some of it hit the front of the maxillary. The lower lip, right here on the end. It gets it. A little bit on top. A little bit from the, whoops. That's holding on both sides, it comes together. Hard to do it without getting in the way sometimes. All this gets it. Okay. There goes the very top of the back. Be sure you do your other side too. So right along top of the back. Don't want to get much darker than that, really. With this color, you want to go down and fade it out 2/3 of the way down. Completely fade it out. That's actually good enough for me right there for the body. Now, all we got to do is angle spray our fins to bring our fin rays out. Okay, I'm angle spraying all my fins, however you got to move them. Just do whatever you got to do. Just bringing out the rays is all I'm doing. Maybe adding a little bit of darkness. I'm going to card these fins and get them, just angle spray them real good. So I'm going to bring them out just a little bit, Try not to darken the fins, but it happens. It could happen more than what I want. It happens where I darken them too much. You just let it grow on there and let it ride. To bring out the detail on the fins, that's all we want to do. Same with this one down here. The maxillary. There, that's good. Just want to make sure we paint our maxillary, you know what I mean? Okay. Okay, now we do our fins. Get down in between them, you know, with a rolling motion, digging up and then going down in between the spines with it. Just catching the end of it. I'll let you determine how much you think you need to go down with it. And then you have to, sometimes I gotta blend them in if I go down too deep. That looks pretty good for the spiny. Might blend in just a little bit, not much, okay? Same with the tail. I do the tail the same way, you know. Sometimes the fin determines how dark you want to do it. You know, the overall darkness of the fin. Sometimes, you know. In other words, it can be too loud sometimes. If it's not dark enough, it don't look good either, so just kind of feather it in. I like that right there. I think that looks pretty good right there. Do the bottom one the same way. I'm in the camera real good, yeah. Going to go in, go out, go in, go out, in. I'm not going to mess it up. There we are. Yeah, you just want to feather it in. You don't want it to be too strong, but I like that right there. Or you can always feather it in if you got it. It'll make it blend a little bit better. That'll work for me though. Okay, here on the ends. Gonna blend it in like that a little bit. Gonna feather it in from the rear. The darkness of the fin can determine how dark you want to do this. A little bit, you know, just a little. Reproduction, I'm going to darken inside the mouth, you know, to make it look like there's a lot of depth. Which I did make it kind of deep. Just drilled it out with a Dremel tool is all I did. Blending everything in by angle spraying it. Just a little, you know, not just a little, just a little. I think everything is good. Now, I don't think it hurts to angle spray a little bit to bring out some of the, you know, maybe some of the stuff that's naturally on the fish, you know, scales. I don't want to get too carried away with that. So maybe a little bit along the bottom. Now there is a little bit of a dark color on that bottom. Could have angle sprayed a lot more than what I did, but I didn't. That's okay. That's fine right there. That is fine. I'm going to spray a little bit to bring out the scales. Just on the upper 1/3 of the body. That's fine right there. That's good. That'll work for me. Okay, now I've got Selfish Blue. Just to go lightly over the midsection of the body. And I'm supposed to, those white dots are supposed to turn into a turquoise look. But I'm not supposed to go too heavy with it. Easier said than done when it wants you to go light, though. It says even the stripes on the head. Okay. That would be these. Go down that ladder line, I know that. I want to blue it up just a hair. Okay, now I've got shimmering blue or iridescent blue, depending on what company you go with. But it says to apply a moderate to a light coat, just right here on the maxillary. There we are. Moderate to light coat on the maxillary. Okay, now I got white. There's white on the front, on the very front of the leading edge of the pelvic fins. And there's a little bit of white right here on the edge of this tail here. And there's also behind that black spot, the edge of the ear flap. Right here, it goes around this black ear flap spot here. Now you might want to use a brush, to be honest with you. That's what I got. There we are. Now I can fix that up with a little bit with a Sharpie pen. That's what I'll probably do. And now right here on the leading edge of the pelvic fins. It helps for me to hold my breath. Gives me a little bit of stability. There we are. I'm going to touch it up with a Sharpie pen, get it looking kind of good. Helps to kind of hold my breath. That looks a lot better. Okay, I'm going to put the edge of the gill flap in. It calls for gill red. It's just a little speck anyway. That's good enough for me right there. Clean the eyes off. When I first started it, the paint schedule actually called for painting these little strips white, in between the black bars. I should have painted them white first, but they were white to begin with. I just kind of darkened them up. Got a little dark with it. But if y'all have seen some of these guys, some of them are like really dark. Some of them are like down in Florida in places. Some of those swamps and stuff. They're dark. Okay, now I've got my gloss top coat. Start phasing everything in. Or put my gloss on it. Probably want to do a flash coat first. You don't want it to run. In other words, you want to go on kind of thin, not real heavy. I like to use I've mentioned it a lot of times, but polyurethane gloss, a lot of times it does wonders on fish like this. Dry between coats and put you on another one. But this is how I paint a warmouth. In this case, a reproduction.